They're gonna give Daddy the Rain Man suite. You dig that? We're going to Vegas, Mike.
Vegas! You think we get there by midnight?
Money, we're gonna be up 500 by midnight.
Yeah! Vegas!
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Do you live, eat, and sleep the hotel industry? Looking to brush up on your game? You've come to the right place. Welcome to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the No Vacancy podcast with me, your host, Glenn Hausman. Man, am I excited to have each and every one of you here with me every single week on our show. I'm having such a great time producing this series. Believe it or not, I'm actually in my home office this month, but I've been on the road like crazy, and actually, as you're listening to this, I'm probably on the road right now because I am going all over this great country to go to a lot of great cities, to do lots of great events. As you're listening to this, I think right now I may be in Chicago, followed by LA, where I'm going to be attending Forbes 5-star ceremony with my checking in with Anthony and Glenn partner, Anthony Melchiori. We're going to be getting lots of great interviews for that series over there. And then after that, I got a great speaking engagement with the California Lodging Investment Conference on March 7th, followed by another one later on that day in Las Vegas for OLS Hospitality. That's going to be great. Then I got another gig the week after that for this great company, Almo, that you'll be hearing more about. And Anthony and I are also going to be at Cobblestone Hotel's annual event, doing some shows live from there. And also, Anthony and I are going to be doing some live shows from Stonebridge Hospitality's event, where I'm also going to be delivering a keynote speech. And, of course, we'll be at the Hunter Hotels Investment Conference in March. Wow, it's a very busy March that I have going on. It just goes on and on and on. I could talk about my travel schedule, but I'd much rather bring in our guest for today, Mr. Corey Nyman of the Nyman Group, a great buddy of mine from the Las Vegas scene. Corey, how are you doing today?
Outstanding, Glenn, and your introductions of me are getting better and better every time we do this.
Yeah, you know, you are such a rock star, man. I just I love seeing what you guys are up to with the Nyman Group, which is just an amazing organization dedicated to helping hoteliers create great food and beverage programs. But you in Las Vegas are on top of the food scene, which we're going to talk about in just a minute, Corey. But I got something really cool to share with you before we get into that.
All right. I'm all ears. I mean, I got fingers crossed. I got legs crossed. I got, I'm bolting myself to the chair. I'm ready to be blown away like the Max.
Well,
Max
I think you are going to like this one because, you and your brother, Craig, who, coincidentally, is very involved in the music scene and books the, Life is Beautiful Festival. Hopefully he won't think I'm cheating on this, but, here at No Vacancy News and the No Vacancy Podcast, we are partnering with Joieful and the Jung Hotel to give away an all-expense-paid trip to New Orleans for the first weekend of Jazz Festival coming up at the end of April, beginning of May. And every one of you out there has a chance to win this great contest. So check it out at novacancynews.com and learn how you can enter. And, of course, we got some great videos that are out there on social media right now. You just click that in order to be a part of that. But if you do not win and you still want to go to Jazz Fest, well, don't worry about it. New Orleans Jazz Fest is going to be coming this spring. And because of that, I partnered with Joieful, which is a local New Orleans travel technology and experiences company, plus the Jung Hotel, and building some unreal travel packages for the 50th anniversary of Jazz Fest. You are not going to believe this, but you guys can get in on a package that includes a stay at the beautifully renovated Jung Hotel in the heart of the city, your own personal concierge to assist with dining and late night shows and other requests, plus VIP tickets to the fest, including access to hospitality, tent, and more. This is literally the only travel packages left anywhere in the world to attend Jazz Fest, and they're already sold out. So you can learn more at the Mista Big Stuff Fest experience by visiting novacancynews.com. Buy that package, enter the contest. Corey, hopefully we'll see you in New Orleans. Maybe you'll be a big winner.
You know, you were getting me so excited. I wanted to just see if you would give me the package straight up. I mean, that's.
Yeah, no, I got to build my email list. I got to give other people an equal opportunity, Corey. But I think that if you guys really wanted to go, I know you got the inside track. You could do anything musically you would want to do. Plus, why even leave Las Vegas? Las Vegas has become an insane city for live musical performances over the last decade. It seems like anyone who's anybody has to camp out there and perform a whole bunch of shows every year.
Without a doubt. I mean, and it just, you had a new residency launched last weekend with Lady Antebellum starting over at the Palms. And, they're a perfect example of these touring artists who, have been on the road so much and they want to really sleep in the same bed for a little bit of time. And, residencies can be a 10-day, 10 gig residency. It could be an 80-night gig, residency.
Yep.
So it's changed the game. And, obviously you have someone like, Sinatra and then, Elvis back in the day, and obviously Liberace and Wayne Newton. But as we all know, in the current era, Celine changed the game. And, what she did, I mean, her run at the Coliseum's ending now, but you had that back in 2004.
Yeah.
It just absolutely changed the game. 03, 04 changed the game.
Yeah, and I am very proud to say that I successfully managed to avoid seeing that in the last 14 years that she was there. So I'm pretty proud of myself for that. Sorry, Celine, just not a big fan, but somehow I know your heart will go on. Sorry about that, Corey.
Oh.
I've been doing too much recording today. I'm feeling a little punchy over there. But we could talk about music all day, and I love talking about music. And I got to tell you, whenever I go to Las Vegas now, one of the things I like to do is go see some live performances. But I got to eat. I'm a really hungry guy, and Las Vegas seems to me to be in the middle of another dining renaissance. I'm hoping that maybe you could share what you're seeing on the ground level there and some of the lessons that the larger hospitality community can learn from it. So first up, what's going on in Vegas when it comes to food?
Well, the crazy thing is what's not going on. And, you finally, it's crazy, Glenn. We look at, that revolution again with food where, everyone always had to have, the Asian restaurant or the sushi restaurant. You had to have the Italian, you had to have the French. You had to, have the catch-all diner or, the 3-meal-a-day restaurant. And now that's really been put on its head. You have the Palms, which has gone through a major refresh, rebrand, et cetera, courtesy of the guys from Red Rock and Stations. And you have Scotch 80, which is a beautiful high-end steakhouse, which took over for 9. You have Mabel's Barbecue, which is Michael Simon, which is barbecue, but also has a meat easy that it's like a high-end 60-seat restaurant. You have Bobby Flay will be opening a high-end seafood restaurant there, which is crazy. Then you obviously go flip into Aria, because Aria is hot, hot, hot. I mean, not only they've got Carbone, Jean George Steakhouse, and Bardot on their second floor, just crushing it with their concepts. They're all different. Obviously, you have Italian American, French Steakhouse, and French. They opened Catch, and they opened this high-end seafood place to be seen restaurant. And it's just, I mean, it's busy, and it's a very Instagrammable kind of restaurant. And then we really flip over to what they've done, what MGM has done at Park MGM, which is a total game changer. You had Bavette's come in from Chicago, high-end Chicago steakhouse. You had Best Friend from LA, Roy Choi, which is really put, dining in Vegas on its, it's basically Korean mashup, but you enter through a faux convenience store at the front, but you could also sit there and have a drink and have a snack, or you go in the restaurant. And then across the way is Eataly. And obviously we all know Eataly's success from Italy in itself, the 2 in New York, the 1 in Chicago, and then the one in LA. So it's really definitely put, things are happening. That being said, Eataly, great concept when they first came out, 20% off for locals.
Wow.
However, yeah, it was great. Great
that'll
idea.
That'll almost cover the parking fee if you
took
if you
the
buy
words right out of my mouth, Glenn. You took the words right out of my mouth. But guess what they decided to take away a couple weeks ago?
What?
The 20% off discount for locals.
That was really I was really considerate of them. That's going to really help drive business there.
And I happened to be there last night. I was talking to some of the bartenders like, yeah, volume is down because of that.
Yeah. Well, the whole parking thing has really discouraged locals from wanting to go to the Strip. You already have a great dining scene outside where all the main casinos are. So it becomes an issue of, unless you have some friends in town, why even bother going down for the Strip if it's just going to cost us all that extra money?
Well, and then at that point, I'm glad you brought it up, Glenn, because the off-Strip dining scene is on fire. You either have chefs you had chefs who worked on Strip for years who want to break out and do their own. You have people who are now coming to town to open their own restaurant without even thinking about the Strip. And we've got, extremely varied. You've got you've American, you have Thai, you have American Vietnamese, you have French, and you have seafood. I mean, the city keeps growing up. And everyone forgets that the greater Las Vegas population is almost 2 million people.
Wow. That is unbelievable. I mean, look at just the Chinatown alone, which isn't really just Chinatown anymore. It's kind of like Asia City, because you have all different Asian cultures in this massive sprawling area that I swear gets bigger and bigger. And I can't believe it. Every time I drive through there and or take an Uber or Lyft through there, I'm amazed by how packed one of these restaurants seem to be all the time. And God forbid I ever get a chance to go to Lotus of Siam. I just don't think that's ever going to happen.
Well, when you come back, we will take you there. I'm actually, heaven forbid, going tonight.
Okay, well, good luck. By the time this show runs, you may still be online for it.
I'm not gonna divulge my secrets on how I got the table.
All right, well, you know people, Corey. I mean, you're the consummate foodie insider in Las Vegas. So I'd like to go back to the Eataly thing for a moment, because I'm a big fan of the Eatalys that I've been to, but the traditional concept of what I understand and experience Eataly to be, how does that work in Las Vegas? I feel that there's got to be a lot less groceries and just more varied dining options there. But maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I haven't seen it since they debuted shortly before the new year.
You're spot on, Glenn, and that's what they did. And that was our concern with a lot of locals of who's going to go there and buy groceries. And their retail component is the smallest, I believe, in all their stores. Yeah. And their stalls and their sit down is the biggest. And here it's almost like they're pods. So Eataly is basically on one floor with a step down to the entry, where some, New York is a little bit different. You have the brewery on the rooftop there. So they have a pizza pasta restaurant. They have a high-end steakhouse, which I mentioned. And I think there's 5 or 6 other pods, and then there's a kitchen table, and then there are a couple bars. So it's really designed for the tourist, the walk up. I mean, my understanding was there are a couple places in there that were supposed to be 24 hours. We're still waiting to see that.
Right.
I know there is some late night dining, but you have one area that's all about meat. You have another one that's cheese and charcuterie. You have, another one that's all seafood. You have the bar that happens to do Aperol spritzes and wine. You have another one which is just for groups and things like that. So it really, and you still have some retail, but I walked through a wine shop. I would love to know who's buying a $300 bottle of Barolo to take it back to their hotel room.
Right. Yeah. Honestly, I go and I just go to the quick serve places, not the quick serve, the convenience stores, and go get myself a couple of 6-packs. You can even buy champagne at those things really cheap. I can't believe I'm totally forgetting the name of the one that I'm thinking of. The
Walgreens?
No. Yes, but I was actually thinking specifically of the chain that came out of Hawaii.
Oh, ABC stores.
ABC stores. Right. That became a big favorite of mine once Las Vegas started jacking up all of their prices so much that I'm like, well, why not just get a bottle of wine? Why not just get a 6-pack and start off in my room and bring those drinks down with me, so I don't even have to so I don't have to lose too much money gambling or spend $20 for a glass of wine.
Glenn, that's a really interesting point that you just made, and something that has really affected Vegas is the rise of the CVS's, Walgreens, and ABC stores
in
on the
every
street.
Single casino on the street now, right, Corey?
Exactly. And you look at I know for a fact that CVS, I think it's the 3 or 4 highest land deals they've ever done have been in Las Vegas, because it's not only, a billboard, which it obviously is, but you have these shops that are bringing in, to your point, they have full-blown alcohol sections. They have full-blown beer, wine, and liquor. And then some of them have food. So this goes back to dining in America, where there's no middle anymore. There's the high and the low.
Right.
And so people in Vegas, we always joked, in Las Vegas, no one ever ate lunch, right? Because they're out walking around or they're gambling. Mm-hmm. And so now if they can go to a Starbucks, if they can go to a Walgreens and then get that cup of coffee and maybe that packaged sandwich, maybe the piece of fruit, whatever, it's going to be a game changer for who's trying to sell breakfast and lunch.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. And, to the listeners out there, I did not expect to be talking about this in particular. But interestingly enough, Las Vegas is trying to accommodate more of the middle in terms of foods. You see that with the recently opened food court, or whatever they're calling it, food emporium, food hall, which is the fancy word for food court these days at the Cosmopolitan. But
yes.
when the casinos such as, MGM Resorts with their pricing improvement plan, profit improvement plan, where they're trying to make more money absolutely everywhere, they're starting to get those prices up so high. You add in the resort fees, et cetera, that people are saying, screw it, I'm going to the CVS,
Yeah. And Glenn, and to bring it back, it's a great point on what Cosmo did with Block 16.
Yeah, which I want to talk about for sure. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And so it's all, we see this in dining as a whole, where you walk up to the counter, you place your order, and your food's delivered. And you can look at less labor, you can look at less staffing, you can look at convenience to the guest. It's all we know. Look at America as a whole, especially Vegas. It's about speed. It's about speed and convenience.
Yeah, and the more times I'm at Vegas, the less I feel like I need that pampering, that hand-holding, You look at what's going on at Cosmopolitan with their food hall. I think it's a great concept. You could go anywhere else on that floor, get similar types of food, spend about the same amount of money, but then you have to tip the servers. You have to have interactions with the servers and all of that kind of stuff. I'm happy to just go to Hattie B's, order my fried chicken, have a couple of pieces of fried chicken, and go on my way.
You're hitting the nail on the head. I'll be the first to admit, we went to Cosmo on New Year's Eve, and we were going to a concert, and it was a last minute plan, and we didn't make the reservations, and we had the ability to go to Pock Pock Wing, go to Tekka Hand Roll, get a tequila over at Ghost Honky, and we were in and out, and it was exactly what I wanted with our group, because small group, it was convenience, it was good, it was hot, it was fresh, and if I would have had the same style experience at some of these restaurants, but my barrier to entry was less.
Right. So what does this all mean then for the overall dining scene? You started off this conversation about telling me about all these great new concepts that are opening, high-end steakhouses, other types of restaurants that are out there. Are they able to be as profitable as if a restaurant had opened like that? Let's say compare the new steakhouse compared to 9. Are the market fundamentals any different between that era and the current era that would affect restaurant profitability?
Well, I think we've got a couple of things that we're seeing. Number one, we've got changing attitudes of dining.
Yes.
And then you match that up with the rise of millennials, which I want that to be our harbinger here, but I want to get to that in a second. And then you match up to the real role of conventioneers in Las Vegas. And that's the fine line we skirt here, because Las Vegas is once again really a top convention show destination. You've got 157,000 hotel rooms. You have every resort, every convention hall adding more and more meeting space.
Right.
And so the question goes back to, when the conventioneers are no longer here, who goes to those restaurants?
That's a great point. In fact, one that I've been mentioning repeatedly, and I've probably said it on this podcast before, Las Vegas has made the definitive decision that they are going to be a convention market. They're not looking out for the casual traveler that wants to come to Las Vegas for that once-in-a-lifetime experience or that once-a-year experience, because those might be more price-conscious individuals. If you're selling a drink for $18 at the Eye Candy Bar at Mandalay Bay, then you better be on an expense account, because I buy a round for me and my friends. All of a sudden, it's already $100, and I don't even have a buzz. Same thing with the food.
But you're right. But we still have those people who are going to have their once a year, once in a lifetime experiences. They just don't want to be nickeled and dimed, and that's where the challenge comes back to, on the resort fee, on the parking, on things like that.
Yeah,
and it's really, and Glenn, you're dancing right there. Is how does Las Vegas balance who we want to be? You could be good, you could be bad, you can pick an identity, but you can also have your convention here. And how do we match up that that group? Glenn, I sat down at a bar recently, and it was a high end. It was at Aria, at a restaurant that'll be nameless. And husband, wife, they happen to both be doctors. They live in Minnesota. They come once a month.
Wow.
They come once a month because they wanted to hit this restaurant, this restaurant, this restaurant. She wanted to go to the spa. He wanted to golf, and they have that ability, which is crazy to me. But you still have that group that comes from LA. You have that, husband, wife who's going to drive every quarter or fly over every, 6 months, who wants to have their weekend escape, their getaway. And where is it, we can talk about boomers, but Gen X is really filling that void. Gen X has the money to spend on the experiences, the concerts, the golf, etc. And then so now as we look with Gen X really taking over the business world, and then you have millennials trying to meet. So what are they going to spend their money on? So you have to say as a restaurant, do I want to do a lunch? Do I do breakfast? Do I want to do dinner? Or am I going to do it all day because I want to encapsulate all these people?
Right.
So, and then, some of these restaurants that do dinner only, listen, great concepts, fine dining or Italian or whatever, wonderful. You look at the other restaurants that print money, Burger Bar at Mandalay.
Right. Yeah.
And they've since, mind you, they've refined the concept, but since that resort opened, they've not changed the fact they're still serving burger and fries. Mind you, they've added more alcohol, added more milkshakes, added more burger options, topping options, but you allow the guest, not the customer, you allow the guest to tailor their experience. And that's why restaurants like that are extremely successful. So you have other restaurants, we can keep talking like Carbone. Love Carbone. It's amazing. And it's probably double, triple the size of the New York one, but it's fine dining, Italian American cuisine, and you're gonna pay for the privilege, but you're gonna have an amazing service experience. Glenn, the other day I happened to be at Bardo Brasserie, great Michael Mina restaurant at Aria. They were doing over 300 people for brunch on a Saturday.
Holy cow.
And I sat through 3 seatings. It just kept turning.
Wow. So the question to me is, how did you eat that much food if you sat through 3 seatings? Did you go to the vomitorium? What's your secret there, Corey?
It's why we work out. I lingered. A lot of lingering. But the crazy thing about that, Glenn, is this was the weekend after Super Bowl weekend. And you had conventioneers, you had girls' weekends, guys' weekends, family, Chinese New Year. Tick, 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 tick. It was crazy just to see this restaurant, this fine dining, high-end brunch, probably running a $30 to $40 average check at brunch.
Wow.
Give or take.
It's not bad at all especially for that time of day, right? A lot of restaurants would be happy to be getting that for dinner.
And that's the crazy thing. And I don't know their dinner numbers, but I can tell you they're known for their Saturday and Sunday brunch, and they just make it happen. You feel good. You're going to pay. Again, that's the beauty of Las Vegas. If you pay for the privilege, you'll be treated like royalty.
Right. And I think that's part of the fantasy about going to Las Vegas, right? Is to feel that you're stepping out of your day-to-day life. You could be somebody who you aren't normally in your day-to-day life. And that comes with the that feeling of feeling special, in the know, part of the scene, and all any other cliches that we could all think of immediately. But Corey, I'm curious because we see in American society that there is a separation between the upper echelon of society and the lower rungs financially of society. And my gut is telling me that Las Vegas is moving in that direction as well, at least from an outsider's point of view, because I see those prices going up. I see them appealing to that convention center dollar, but I also see food courts opening up. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I somewhere in the middle? What's going on in your overall assessment?
You hit the bullseye. You're right there. There is no middle. And we see that in all levels of dining. We see that in different cities. That's where you look at the Chipotle model. You look at Pizza Rev. You look at some of these, the limited quick serves are really ruling the day. And yes, the husband and wife still wants to go out for the nice meal. They want to do anniversaries. They want to take friends and family out, by all means. But, people, obviously people want to take time when they want to take time, but it's about speed and convenience and affordability. And, that's Vegas too. I can tell you there's still those groups who are going to come out and put 4 to 6 in a room so they can have their weekend. You look at great example. I believe it's the Link Hotel who is putting bunk beds in some of their rooms.
Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, I think they added a couple of extra ones because they've proved to be so successful. Who would have thought? It's actually when you look at it. And I think of myself as, 21, 22-year-old Glenn, I would have been all in for that particular concept because I don't need the space, and I certainly don't need to be spending full price on a room for myself. At this age, I don't like sharing rooms with people, but 20 plus years ago, that's all we did.
Right. And, Glenn, and it's funny, and we can bring it back to elements of the hotel industry and hospitality where you look at these limited service properties, name them, but you look at what the Yotel did, what Moxie did, what Citizen M is doing. So it really, keep people in these public spaces. What are the bare minimums? I mean, we know the hot shower, the bed, the Wi-Fi, those basics will not go away. But
right.
you look at a Moxie, there's no full real desk. I mean, you have a fold out. There's no dresser. You go to New York, you look at the Yotel, it's a pod.
Right.
I mean, and that came from Heathrow. So you look at the way people are traveling, eating, dining. I mean, all these different elements, which is kind of hysterical of, okay, so where is the middle? And where's the middle? B,
right.
Is the middle ever coming back?
I don't know. That's a good question. But if you were to go ahead in your role as a consultant in the food and beverage universe, what would you recommend? Would you recommend creating something down the middle, or would you have to go to either or the extremes?
Both. Well, it's kind of
obviously
funny,
it depends on what hotel, for example, it'll be, and that creates a lot of it. But on top of that,
of course, and well, one of the models that we always really liked was having the hybrid where you had a cafe up front,
right,
and maybe a finer dining in back. And one of the hybrids to that is doing a coffee bar or a bar up front, and then your restaurant inside.
Right.
And for years we talked about this, that if someone was drinking at the bar in your hotel on, just on a Wednesday night business trip, why would they ever come back on Thursday morning and have a cup of coffee in the same place and a glass of wine?
Right. Yeah, it just doesn't feel right.
Exactly. So now it goes back to how you brand and how you change the look. So it really, Glenn, it goes back to, if you're going to do a restaurant that's all purpose or multi-purpose, how do you frame it from a design perspective? How do you frame it from a feeling perspective of, does it feel different at night than it does in the next morning? And, for us, we look at, the joke always, I know I'm jumping around here, but the joke always was, what do you need on your room service menu? I'm not talking in-room dining. This was room service, what it was still called room service. Now it's called in-room dining, which we don't even know if that exists anymore. But the joke was always, you needed a bowl of soup, a club sandwich, a really good burger, and a steak.
Right.
Last time I checked, you have those at a hotel menu, plus a Caesar salad. You really don't need much more.
Yeah, it's pretty much what people order.
and it sounds kind of funny, but you're right. But you look at a Hyatt place. That's basically what they do.
Yeah. Which is great for that particular concept. It really works well. Now, I did some in-room dining last week in a hotel, but I knew if I ordered from room service, it was going to cost me $70 for a burger because of the type of hotel that I was in. With this fee, that fee, the other fee. Across the street was a Whole Foods. I went over there and I got myself a couple of their almost sushi rolls, because they're not quite as good as real sushi rolls, but at least it's not food that's bad for you.
And that's another great point, Glenn. We're seeing, because remember, this trend of grocery stores or food outlets in hotels has been happening for years. We opened a restaurant or a hotel in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 98 with a Star Market on the second floor.
Wow. Innovative.
So, very innovative. And, we look at it of, I look at some friends who stay at, maybe it's a limited service hotel, or maybe it's a Residence Inn or a Hyatt place where you have the kitchenette. You're spot on right there where, hey, it's going to take me 30 minutes to go shopping. I'm going to get fresh fruit. I have a couple sushi rolls, maybe whatever. I can breakfast in the morning. I've got my coffee maker, so I can do that. And I'm not going to go hungry. And if I have my business meeting, I'm going to dinner. Great. But if not, I can sit and watch TV, do my work.
Yeah, which is what I like to do. Because I've been traveling so much lately that I sometimes just need to be in my room and not communicate with people, because that's what I do for my entire life. And I just can't handle it, because as much as people are surprised to hear this, I'm more of an introvert, right? I'm very, very in there, but then I need a lot of recovery time and I need to be left alone. And the hotels have already done a great job at getting us to want to go to other places to bring food in, because they're trying to charge you $5, $7, $10 for a bottle of water. So I'm already going XYZ place to get a bottle of water for $1. Instead, I might as well just get some other food and totally not even bother with their in-room dining or even the convenience stores that they're putting in the lobby, because they may not have, I may perceive that they won't have what I want, even if they do.
And that brings it back to Las Vegas, the same point we were discussing.
Thank you for bringing it back. I love it.
Well, it's so true, because, your price, some of these hotels are pricing their guests out of the market. And, at the end of the day, convenience is a fantastic factor. And if we can say, if you make it easy for someone, but if you price that convenience past their threshold, they're going to leave.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Things are amazing right now in terms of the hospitality economy, but when things do shift, this is the area that I think is going to be affected most. People will start to cut back on the types of food that they eat, and they're also just not going to stay in overpriced properties when they could stay somewhere else.
And we're going to see, I mean, we look at the parking aspect of Las Vegas. You look at the $18 cocktail you mentioned earlier. You know, what is that threshold of, you know, I'm not coming? And we look at conventioneers who pull it. You look at, you know, husband, wives. You look at family, you know, family groups, you name it. You know, where's that threshold? And it really goes back to, especially with our current economy, of what am I willing to spend? Where am I going to get the best value for my dollar? And does that mean staying in my home market and having a night out, or is it meaning flying to Las Vegas or not?
Right. So, you know, I think to bring this all home for all of the listeners out there, there is opportunity to follow these trends and make more money. We are at the peak market right now in the hospitality business, and you can make a lot of money. But I just want you, and I know Corey wants you to start thinking ahead. What's the next phase? Where is this all leading to? I don't want anybody to be caught short if the market suddenly switches. So start to think about these issues and how to bring better value for your potential customers. I'm very afraid that a lot of these brands that are very public companies just keep trying to make more and more money each quarter because that's the game that they have to play in order to compete. At what point, as you so eloquently said, Corey, will it get to be too much and you're going to start to see the general public going, forget about it, I'm not going there anymore?
Yeah. And you know, Glenn, it's, I think, you know, if I could speak to every hotelier out there and every operator, is we have to be prepared to change. And we know that when the economy does tank, which it might, or our guest changes, or we have an unforeseen event in our hotel, in our market, a snowstorm, the polar vortex, or a heat wave, you name it, you know, it's how are you going to be the most nimble to really address that with your team, with your resources? Everyone knows a building doesn't change that much. You know, I mean, a cruise ship takes a long time to turn, just like a hotel does. Yep. So to everyone out there, ladies and gentlemen, it really goes back to the point of how are you able to change or be nimble in your market to really make sure that you're focused on the opportunities of the day, but also the opportunities for 2 to 5 years to even 10 years from now. And, right. Mm-hmm. And that then goes hand in hand with where your owner's thinking, because we all know it's about the ROI, ladies and gentlemen. It's about that return on investment and bottom line. So how do we drive top line to maximize our resources, make our guests happy, and that way the top line matches up with the bottom line so everyone's happy at the end of the day.
Beautiful. I think that makes a lot of sense, and those are great words to go out on for this segment of the show. Corey, how can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Thanks, Glenn. They can find us on Twitter at the Nyman Group. They can find us on Facebook at the same thing. Also, our website at the Nyman Group. You can find me personally on Twitter at Eat Drink Vegas for all your Las Vegas needs, updates, and fun facts and questions. And we're just a phone call away, ladies and gentlemen.
Beautiful. I love it. Hopefully you guys will reach out to Corey. These guys really know their stuff. So I want to thank Corey for being here, and I want to thank you guys for being a part of this awesome segment. Now, don't forget to enter this contest. You really want to go to New Orleans. I know you want to have a great time at the 50th anniversary of Jazz Fest and buy those packages that we talked about earlier. So, all right. So for Corey and myself, thanks for listening. We'll be right back right after this message.
Have a question for your host, Glenn? Tweet him now at Traveling Glenn. No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, Glenn here. As you're probably aware, the extended stay market accounts for 8.6% of the U.S. lodging supply, and it's been growing steadily since 2013. So it's no wonder Red Roof invested $50 million in a renovation program to launch Hometown Studios by Red Roof. Now there's more than 50 properties open in more than 35 markets. Now is the perfect time for franchisees like you looking to get in on the extended stay segment to take a look at Hometown Studios by Red Roof. In fact, nearly 1 out of 4 hotels in the new construction pipeline are extended stay. So you really want to think about Hometown Studios by Red Roof, because each apartment style studio studio? Well, it offers the amenities guests want, including upgraded decor, a kitchenette with full-size refrigerator, on-site laundry facilities, free Wi-Fi, and more, all while continuing Red Roof's tradition of clean, comfortable accommodations at an unmatched value. Meanwhile, franchisees get Red Roof's significant brand awareness, seasoned management team, and richest-in-class loyalty program with more than 2.5 million members. And it just happens to be the least expensive loyalty program for owners, too. And that's in addition to the award-winning marketing department and a dedicated website based on their fastest in class with mobile-first technology. Plus, if you ask Red Roof's franchisees, they'll tell you genuine relationships, real results. It isn't just some slogan, it's how Red Roof does business. So get in on a new way for extended stay. That's right, get in on a new way to extended stay. I like that, it's pretty funny. Visit redrooffranchising.com or call 888-473-8861. That's 888-473-8861. And tell them Glenn sent you.
Back to the show. It's No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast with your host, Glenn Hausman.
Hey everybody, Glenn Hausman back here with the No Vacancy podcast, and I am super stoked today. I am at Park MGM, which is also home to the NoMad here in Las Vegas. The reason why I'm so excited is I used to stay here all the time when this place was the Monte Carlo. While Monte Carlo was fine, it was just fine. It didn't really connect with me emotionally. I had a good, comfortable place to sleep. But the other thing about Las Vegas, it's a world of reinvention, and the amazing thought of reinvention has come together to reinvent this incredible place. And there's no better way to talk about the new iteration of what's happening here, which is now the Park MGM, than other than the president and COO of the resort, Mr. Patrick Miller. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm shocked that you're letting me talk to you, honestly.
No, I really don't know where this is going to go. That's great.
No, honestly, it's really exciting to be able to talk to somebody like you because not only are you in charge of this property and have helped bring it into its current iteration, but you've been in this town, working in Las Vegas for your entire career. What a strange, bizarre thing it must be to be working in Vegas for your entire career.
Yeah, it is. I love this town. I grew up here, born and raised here. And so to be in what is Las Vegas, or what everyone thinks that Las Vegas is the main industry, it's exciting. And I can't think of another job or position or career in the world that has this kind of city that just gets reinvented all the time.
Right.
And being in the center of it's been amazing.
And there's something for hoteliers. I mean, you guys love challenges, you love change, and here, everything is to the max, right? It's like that Spinal Tap. You're always turning it up to 11 with everything that you do here. So did you always know that you were going to destined to work in the casino resorts growing up off the strip?
No, not at all. I growing up here was something you maybe did on a special occasion. You come down to the strip, but there's so much out of Las Vegas in the community that is different than the Las Vegas Strip. So no, it wasn't even an option. I went away to school, and I was looking for work and didn't want to live in the Midwest. To be honest with you, it was the weather's not so great there. Weather's pretty perfect in Las Vegas.
It sure is.
So we when I came back home, I said, well, I got to do something. Got to pay off school loans and do that, and got a job, just what was a job at the Mirage, and that job turned it into career 23 years later.
Yeah, I was talking to a guy earlier this week as we were recording this. I was at another conference, and he worked at Mirage shortly after it opened, and he got part of a management trainee program. And they said you do any job you want for 6 months. So he wound up doing valet and bellman because he knew they were making bank.
That's right call. So I didn't go that route. I did eventually in my career. I did one of those management associate programs here at MGM. And you're right. You basically cycle through everything. I was a gaming guy, so to speak. I came up through gaming. So I worked in the cage, and I worked in credit, and I got to work in the pits. And so it was a really good experience for me to learn everything that related to gaming. Plus I got to clean rooms too, and bathrooms, and that's part of it as well.
Well, and I would think, and we'll get to this hotel in a minute, but I'm finding talking to you about your career so fascinating. I bet because you worked in all of these different roles, right? Not only did you learn the skills, but you probably get people to respond to you in the workplace in a better way because they know you've been there.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting twist, though. I think I respond better to them and understand what they're going through, or have some better insight about those challenges that come up. There is as difficult as people may think my job may be, or a job in a senior level management job, there's no worse or more difficult job than a front line that's got to deal with an upset guest or something went wrong, because that's where those interactions play out at the front line. And I think that's important to know that,
right.
That, there's no real dollars made in my office. All the money's made in dollars, and interactions are made in those one-to-one interactions.
Right. Speaking of customers, do you think customers, when they come to Las Vegas, are different than the customer profile that might go somewhere else? I mean, the psychological mindset that they're in, the expectations they may have, and the way that they speak to people.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. Traveling and seeing everywhere. It seems like sometimes people come to Las Vegas and they lose their mind. And now it's not everyone, but certainly there's a segment that it's I can act however I want and do whatever I want. And of course there's guidelines and guide rails for that. But, I think that's part of the fun of working in this environment. And we learn how to handle that from all of our team members on, okay, how do you handle the person that maybe needs to go to bed?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because that's the thing. People party in other cities, but here, it's such a part of the city that they just feel that they could do whatever they want and they won't have to pay those repercussions for it. So they wind up getting themselves into trouble a little bit more than in other places, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, trouble or
I don't mean quote unquote trouble. Right. I just mean I had a little too much to drink. I'm maybe not as sharp as I could be.
Yeah, that definitely certainly happens here in this town.
So. That's amazing that you've accomplished in your career to become president and COO of a major Las Vegas Strip resort. When that first happened to you, did you have to pinch yourself? Did you be like, I can't believe I've actually achieved this in my career? Because it's a major milestone for you.
I don't know if I had to pinch myself.
Maybe that's just my point of view, because I'm an outsider and haven't worked my way up for 20 years in the business. But
that's what is amazing. Not just the company, but I think the city, the chance to develop and learn and grow and try different things. And I think, in the end of the day, the hospitality business, and certainly there's many revenue streams from, gaming, food and beverage, and hotel, and learning those from learning a lot about a little or a little about a lot. And I think I know a little about a lot of things, and it's helped. It's definitely an amazing opportunity. I love this company and I love this city.
Right.
So I guess pinch myself. I'm excited to work every day.
Yeah. I know a little bit about a lot, so I could just fake it and people think I know about everything. Oh shoot! Now I just gave away my secrets. Damn it! I shouldn't have done that. So when did you come on board in this particular role? At what point of the process of becoming Park MGM were you in?
Yeah, so we were fully Monte Carlo,
right?
And when I started, it was T-Mobile wasn't announced next door.
So you started in this role at Monte Carlo before you even knew that any of this was going to happen.
That's correct.
Interesting.
We had a couple projects we were working on the frontage. We knew the property was important. For a lot of reasons.
Right.
This location, you said you used to stay here, which is great. You probably stayed here, is probably the right value. And
I stayed here because I attended events that were here.
Events here.
Right. So that's that brought me here. But yeah, it was definitely the right price for somebody that didn't want to spend too much, but in exchange was looking for more of a no frills type of experience. I don't want to besmirch the Monte Carlo. It's just that to me there were so many great things that had happened around here, and Monte Carlo always just felt kind of like a missed opportunity is the way I would put it.
It was Monte Carlo's got a special place, I think, in Las Vegas history.
Absolutely.
It's a great hotel and casino that really did well, but for a lot of things we started looking at it and it didn't really stand for something.
Right.
It was just I likened it to if it was a color, it was beige.
Right.
If it was ice cream, it was vanilla.
That's always what I said, plain vanilla.
People like vanilla and people like beige, but Vegas isn't always about that and that plainly. So it was a great location and great price. And so if those are your only attributes, you really don't stand for anything.
Right.
So that's where we started to figure out we have to do something in this prime spot of Las Vegas for our company. What do you do with it?
Right. And it seemed to me that it came around at the perfect time after the last wave of massive development that was here with Aria and the Crystals Mall and all of that kind of aspect. It was smart, I think, for the company to kind of shift to reinvent certain properties instead of dropping $3 to $5 billion to build something ground up. When you had this great piece of real estate, like you said, in a terrific location. So when did the idea start, and what was the beginning of all that? Did T-Mobile happen first, and then it was like, oh yeah, did it all come together at once?
Yeah, there was a knowledge that our senior leadership had that, you know, we were going to reinvent this neighborhood was happening. We knew we had spent a lot of energy and time and capital on ARIA and City Center, which was great. And you had MGM and New York, and Bellagio, and then right in the middle you had this. I don't want to call this a dead zone, but a quieter zone.
Right.
And so we started to master plan.
I would say it wasn't a dead zone, it was a quiet zone. It was a zone that was waiting for opportunity.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It certainly was. And so we thought about the whole space as a neighborhood. And then what components did the neighborhood need? What components did Las Vegas need? I think the foresight of MGM Resorts to think, okay, big picture, look at what Las Vegas needs to do. How do you continue to drive visitor volume, and how do you continue to keep people interested in what we do? That's where we knew the entertainment district needed to happen. And so you think about T-Mobile and Park Theater, and the last step was really this property, because those things were we had the park, T-Mobile, and Park Theater. What we didn't have was this property. We knew the property needed some capital infusion, but to what level? And to your point, usually you can do a couple things. You can what they call kind of add maybe a room remodel or a refresh, so to speak, and do some new carpet and wallpaper.
But what's that going to do for your RevPAR? You're not really going to be able to push up rates all that much with something simple like that.
That's exactly right. You're going to be able to move up, and some of that's just
$10 a night on an
some of that is keeping up, right? You're just going to not go down anymore. Or you can do what Las Vegas does so famously is add dynamite and take it down and start all over with fanfare and a building that gets a grand opening.
Well, I've never seen one of these size buildings, the post-Mirage era resort, come down. I don't even know how practical that is. Financially, maybe it just made sense to think about reinventing it, which makes a lot of sense to me, because I don't know the exact price point, but I think it's easier to drop $300 million into reinventing an entire place than build something for $2 or $3 billion.
You're absolutely right. So it's, the cost to build a new resort is in the billions, right? You're going to think about $2 billion plus probably on Las Vegas Strip.
5 years.
And lots of years and components. And again, close down a cash producing entity like your property, or reinvest. And we had $550 million invested into this property to become 550. 550 to become Park MGM.
Nice.
And so that was the decision. So that was kind of the decision point to go, what do we need to do and how we do it? And so that's
how does that work? Jim Murren, the CEO, says, all right, you guys have $550 million, or do you say, this is what we're conceptualizing, we think it'll come in at that kind of a dollar value?
Jim was very involved with the project and really the vision for the neighborhood. A lot of this came from Jim Murren.
Right, because it not to say anything like you're not fully involved, but there's other entities here that go beyond your auspices of this building.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly centers of excellence that weighed in. Mm-hmm. But the project came about, you had to scale it and scope to find out what that scope was. And you needed rooms, you needed public space. What kind of restaurants were you going to do? And so it came together, and that's what culminated ultimately to once you scaled what you wanted to do here and come up. And like most projects, there's ads and there's takeaways, and most projects have more ads than takeaways. It's just like building a home. You're going to usually go, oh, let's do something extra. Let's make this happen.
Well, you took away a cheesy food court for that Eataly, so
so no buffet and no food court. That's a Vegas change shift,
right? Yeah, but. No, you don't have a food court. You now have a food hall. Yeah. I just had lunch there. I thought it was an absolutely fantastic experience. Yeah. So
Eataly is, I think it's great. Here's you're familiar with Eataly, obviously. I'm from New York.
Yeah,
New York.
From downtown New York.
So here's and you know this from New York, but a lot of people don't if you don't have one. We just got our first one on the West in LA a while ago.
I was just there last week, as a matter of fact.
And they're
at Westfield Center.
Oh, that's great. They're fantastic because they drive people who maybe be in the tourist market but locals love it. Mm-hmm. And we come down. I came down and shopped on Sunday and grabbed a Italian dinner with the family.
Nice.
And shopped and literally shopped for things to take home. And that's unique and very different in Las Vegas. It's been fun.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so let's wind it back. Now you've got your $550 million. You have to reprogram this whole place. So the first component was getting rid of the Lance Burton Theater and building the Park Theater, right?
That was first.
Yeah. So it's so funny because I remember going to the Lance Burton Theater and it had like, I don't know, 500 seats or something like that. And then you're thinking about.
I was going back to
I
think it was 12 or 1100.
Right. But then you walk into the park and it's what, 6,000 or something?
6,000.
Yeah.
And here's what's funny. That is engineering great because that sits on roughly the same footprint.
Yeah.
So it cants out the way we've made that theater. You're so intimate with the entertainer. You know, to see Lady Gaga, and I think the worst seat is about 115, 120 feet away from the back. You're close.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing. All right. So what's it like having this plain vanilla slate to work from to be able to reinvent in a way that you're going to find satisfying, that you believe is going to make consumers go, oh, I'm excited. It's worth this brand new experience. I'm going to go and spend all that money there.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was no I. I mean, there was a we in that because you just can't have it. And one of the big
You mean you didn't do everything in this massive resort here?
My wife may think I did everything, but I did.
I'm sure you spent a lot of hours here doing it.
Yeah, well-placed hours. But the first big was a partnership with Eataly Group.
Right.
And we brought them in. We had looked, we wanted to get a partner in some capacity because we wanted to do a premium product within it. And you'll talk about that in a second. Mm-hmm. But we looked to do hotel within a hotel type component. And so we looked at some various competitors, or I don't want to say competitors, but options. And we quickly gravitated towards Eataly, partly because of their philosophy. They took old buildings and re-envisioned them. And although we weren't old, we were maybe old for Vegas' sakes for some degree.
Yeah, this opened in late 90s, 97, 96? Okay.
96. So we weren't old, but we were a style that needed something. So,
well, it's like dog years when it comes to Vegas years, right?
You're right. That's a good point. They came in and they added value, not just for our premium product, but really the product overall. So Park MGM, you had an external mindset. You know, I don't want to think MGM is big brother, but we think in a certain way. We're a big company. We own a lot of casinos and hotel resorts. So to have a more boutique lifestyle, trend-setting type company come in and challenge us into how we looked at what type of restaurants and what palette materials and design we would use was really important, and really defined a lot of this project and helped us create something that wasn't about what people thought about Vegas. And let me describe that. Vegas usually is about let's become brighter, let's become bigger, bolder, sexier, larger, whatever that thing is. It's got to go to the max. And there was a pivot to think about subtlety and maybe a more genuine approach to some things. And hopefully you saw that in some of your tour today to go.
Yes.
You know, the feeling of it wasn't, okay, I'm not going to chrome everywhere. The artwork isn't, let's do 3,000 of the same pieces in all the rooms. Let's curate this experience a little different for that traveler that maybe more discerning, or maybe just I've traveled other places and I want to see something like that.
So here's one thing that I'd love a little more clarity on. I think the NoMad project here is spot on. It's really terrific, and I think it really adds to the experience here. But you guys ain't slouches with creating great hotel concepts. I know, you know, over there at Aria, you got those 5-star Sky Suites.
Sky Suites, yeah.
So why not just do it yourselves? Did they just have a particular point of view that you thought that you couldn't do internally?
We did. I think what's great about good partnerships is it grows you and makes you better. And I think at some certain point we could have done Sky Suites 2.0 or Sky Lofts 2.0 or
the Sky Lofts over at MGM are great also.
I mean, they're all fantastic products. And so when you partner and learn something about that and they challenge you, and part of that, like any good relationship, whether it's marriage or any kind of partnership, those challenges, once you're through them, it makes you stronger. And we embrace those challenges. And so they thought of us different. I'll give you a great example. Mm-hmm. Nowhere in Vegas would we have done bathtubs and hardwood floors.
Right.
People go, well, that just doesn't make sense. And yet that's a signature in NoMad New York and in all of their hotels.
It's also a very emerging boutique hotel trend, especially with the hardwood floors or LVT floors if people aren't going to spend the money on the hardwood.
You're right. And so to bring that into Las Vegas and that where people go, oh, maybe we talked about people getting a little crazy. How's that going to work with maintenance and how are you going to upkeep that? That was the approach that we got challenged to, and it's been one of the biggest positives of what we've done.
I know a little thing about these hardwood floors here, and it's actually, according to an executive I know at another casino resort who works for another company, they would save 30% time from vacuuming to just cleaning the floor. So it pencils out financially, but more importantly, it very much is on trend with what guests are looking for today because it heightens that residential feeling. It makes it feel warmer and I think more special than just having that same old carpet.
Yeah. I agree. And so we love that. We also love one more thing with them. I think it helped with the timeline of what we were trying to do is to get, right. They had some concepts, they had ideas, they had things that they were working towards to help us accelerate this because we knew it was going to be painful. We basically rebuilt the property while staying open and it wasn't, that's not a fun process for guests. It's not a fun process for team members, employees. So that was the struggle. And so we wanted to move as fast as we could to where we could. And I think, the name went up mid last year, 2018. I really call it the culmination, though, the end of last year.
Right, when Eataly opened.
Eataly, Lady Gaga launch, our nightclub. That really we felt complete at that point.
Right. I think that makes a lot of sense. So in that transition period, and then we'll talk to the fully finished product, it must have been super challenging for you to not just try to reinvent a place, but to keep filling those rooms at a rate that can keep profitability going while also making sure that guests aren't super crabby.
Yeah, that's right.
So what was that challenge like for you?
I don't know if you can undertake this kind of transformation without having sister properties that you're able to migrate and hopefully help guests find another option that won't take that. And so obviously rates, I don't want to say suffered, but rates were appropriate for what we had the product, not having a pool over pool season. Right. That's a big amenity. Fortunately, it's not bad to tell someone, no, we don't have a pool next door, but we're going to bus you up to Mandalay Bay.
Yeah, that's
not a bad choice. That's not a bad pool, or MGM or whatever you want to do. So we had options that made it palatable to some degree. Yeah. But no bones about it. It was difficult on that. And I think I think that's the only way you could do this is to have that, be able to have support.
Yeah. I before I ask the next question, I do want to put a little editorial comment out there. If you do have a chance to go see a concert at the Mandalay Pool area, that is the coolest thing to do. I remember one time, at the end of the 1990s, I saw Blues Traveler there, and we were standing in the water while watching the band play. So much fun.
I spent 2 years at Mandalay Bay. I didn't see Blues Traveler, but I've seen John Popper a couple of times. Awesome. Amazing. But that product is great.
So you were director of marketing over at Mandalay, yes?
Yeah. Vice president of marketing.
VP Sorry.
No offense. Same job. Same job, different title.
Well, I don't want to take you down a couple of notches there. So, how did all of those jobs that you had leading up to Park MGM inform you and help prepare you for this transition and where you're sitting today?
Well, that's an interesting question. I've got, I think every job prepares you for something. You just don't realize it until you're through that gauntlet of whatever it is. And I think the project and workload that you have, we were working on Delano back at Mandalay Bay. Mm-hmm.
And I'm staying there, by the way.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And it's a great product.
That's my first time since, believe it or not, it's only my first time since it's changed from the hotel, and that's 4 years already?
Oh, yeah. About 4 or 5 years, because we were on the initial point in the deal point phase, going to work with partners, because it was the Delano Group down in Florida, Miami area. And so we started those conversations, and it really helped you learn to understand partnership. Sometimes you work in a silo.
So I'm smiling here because now I'm getting you learn the whole partnership thing. You learned what it was like to transform something from one property to another. So you had the whole genesis of it, and you coming into Monte Carlo, now the Park MGM, you really already were prepared to take on this next step.
Well, so I think so. It definitely was. You asked me the question. I think that's what helped me prepare. The unfortunate part about me leaving, or fortunate, I'm glad I got the role, but I didn't get into the phase of what we did at Delano. I did that initial thing, so I didn't get a chance to get into that. But I think those are, changing flags and switching names is something that you got to learn too. As we're learning now as we go through, is getting the Las Vegas consumer and visitor to try the new spot.
Right.
So that's key. We saw that with Aria. Aria grew over time, trying to get people to go, okay, let's go see Aria. Because I always go to Bellagio. Why would I go to Aria? Or I always go to Wynn. Why would I go to Aria?
Well, I highly encourage my listeners out there to check out my other podcast series, Checking In with Anthony and Glenn, where we just recently put up a show with Paul Berry, the VP of Hotel Operations at Aria. So in that podcast, we learn all about what it's like having this massive casino resort and keeping it up to date, making those changes, what it's like satisfying those companies and talking about those amazing 5-star suites that they have over there. But today we're over here at the Park MGM, Patrick, and you've really got a nice programming down there. I took this great tour, and I saw on the record what a cool place that is. I'm getting a little too old for that typical club scene, and this seems to have a lot more of a little bit more laid back, rock and rolly kind of feeling than the boom, boom, boom club thing.
Yeah, you did the sound exactly right, but it's exactly what it is. I don't want to call it the anti-club. But it's definitely
just different. It's appealing towards a different psychographic.
It is, and I think what we've seen is the usual club goers, call them 21 to 30, really enjoy it. It's fun, but what's also fun is you see 30 to 50 and even above really enjoy the club scene now, because it isn't that scene of the velvet rope and trying to get away.
Right.
It is great music, maybe played really fun and energetic, DJs and bands kind of mashing up together.
Yeah, cool.
Karaoke rooms. It's really cool. Lots of 80s music. It's fun.
That's my sweet spot, baby.
You're gonna have to come check it out.
I'm definitely a kid of the 80s. I love that particular era. So how do you go and start to think about what dining outlets you folks may do on your own and the partnerships that you're going to have in order to create the right balance in the food and beverage programming?
Yeah. That's a great question, because you got to get the food right.
Right. I'm just thinking about, you've got this barbecue joint with Chef Roy Choi.
Roy Choi. It's a Korean barbecue, so don't think.
Right.
Yeah,
sorry.
you're right.
I need to be clear on that. You're absolutely right. That noodle house looks pretty slamming.
La La Noodle.
Eataly.
Bavette Steakhouse. The NoMad product, which is NoMad Bar and NoMad Restaurant. Primrose, which is our 3-meal-a-day kind of cafe garden, pool cafe. So we have, did I miss any? I'm going around the table.
Yeah, I'm trying to visualize everything too.
I missed Moneyline.
Oh yeah, Moneyline's great.
Sports bar and book.
And Juniper, which is a bar.
And Juniper's another bar. So the question is, how do we figure out what to do, and how do you roadmap that of what we're looking at? You kind of start with what do the guests want?
Right.
You really start there, and you got I think there's 300 restaurants in our company. So you get to know in these resorts, what do people like? And let's be honest, steak places are pretty popular. So you start with steak, and what does that need to look like? And that's where Bavette's came along. And do you do it yourself, or can you be creative by finding the right individual? Bavette's is a fantastic place. You go back in time and place, and it feels special. And it was all about quality. We met with a chef, Brandon Sodakoffs, out of Chicago, and that I was waiting for him to talk about the look and feel, and all he cared about was the food,
right,
and the quality. And I go, this is the right type of partner you want to have, is someone who cares about the food. And sure enough, we're sitting in one of his restaurants, and I'm like, well, the place looks great, and all he cares about is food. And so we deliver that every day. So started with the steakhouse, and then started mapping out what else you'd want to do, and whether it was important to find someone that could help us grow as a partner, or whether you look to do something on your end. Because in the end, the guest and the person dining doesn't care. Some do, if it's a celebrity type level chef like Will and Daniel. I think Daniel is celebrity-esque with their 11 Madison Park. But if you went to NoMad and didn't know who Will and Daniel were at all, Will Goddard and Daniel Helm, you would say this is one of the best restaurants in the world, no matter what.
Right. So. Yeah. All right. So then I need to ask, how do you decide that Korean barbecue is the right way to go? Because Korean barbecue is freaking awesome, but it's not necessarily something that's on the radar of the typical American traveler.
Yep. We are, I think we're the first one on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah.
Is there. There may be a small place here or there, but in a major resort for a Korean barbecue place to come in, we're first. So that is unique in that regard. And our friend there, the place is Best Friend by Roy Choi. And Roy Choi is obviously kind of the new resurgence father of food trucks. He was cooking in fine dining establishments and decided to do his own thing. And he loves LA culture. We know LA culture, and Los Angeles is a huge market for us. And it seemed to make sense, to have, we had a lot of New York, Chicago kind of partnerships, and we needed something from LA. And Roy didn't just bring himself, who is, a great Angelino, but he wanted to bring LA to Vegas. And so it's a little bit of a mashup of, Korean barbecue, where he kind of was grown up on, but also LA street food. And you got elotes, a little bit of Mexican and tacos in there. And it's a fun place. DJ, he's got a little bit louder music, a lot more fun than most restaurants. So it's been one of our big success stories. Coming there is, it's a tough ticket to get sometimes to get in there.
Well, I wish I would have known that before I decided to eat at Eataly for lunch instead of over there.
There's always dinner. There's always dinner.
True.
There's always dinner.
That's great. Before we wrap up, anything else that you think I need to know about the property and where it's headed? And
we talked a little bit about NoMad. I think having that. Most people do. You do a hotel, maybe it's a special floor, things like that. I think to do it right, what NoMad brings to us and the city is dedicated arrival, dedicated elevators up to those floors, its own pool, separated totally on a different floor than the rest of the other pools. So it's an elevated pool, roughly the 4th, 5th floor on top of the building we're in right now.
Right.
And its own bar, its own restaurant. That experience to kind of come in where a guest could be in this enclave of special, experience called NoMad and not even feel anything they'd want to do, it can drive new visitors to Las Vegas. And that's what we're always trying to do, is introduce people to what this great city's about. And so really proud of NoMad and having that here as well. And again, the whole property, maybe the last thing to add is not just as much as we transformed the building, carpets and walls and everything that got moved. The people, we grew, the service industry is amazing. And I was never worried about what we could do. It was just the process of someone going that was a bartender for 20 years going, we're going to bartend a little different.
Right.
And I was so proud of the team members here at Monte, now Park MGM, that made that switch, because that makes all the difference. That's why people come. I never get a lot of letters about, we loved your shower, we love this, we love Joe, or we love Gary or Patrick. That's what they say.
Thank you for saying that, because one of the things I do in a lot of my keynote speeches is I'm trying to promote how important people are. And I'm very fearful of some of this automation that we're seeing right now. I always say on stage, you never go and say you have to stay at this place because of the amazing lamp that they had in the room. It's always the people that are there and how they made you feel and the experience that they helped craft for you. And at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down 100%. To, right?
Yep.
So how then, but instead of ending, now I got to ask you about people. How do you make sure that your people are all engaged and stay with you? It is so much harder these days to keep service employees in a particular hotel when they got another 100 casino resorts they could go to or whatever they want to do.
Yeah. It's interesting. We have a culture here, and it's across MGM Resorts. We really own it here. We own it everywhere, but we love it. It's the same program we have for the guests. Everyone teaches guest service to go, how do we want employees to treat guests? We want to smile and greet and hear their story, own this experience, and hopefully wow them in things. We call it SHOW, SHOW.
Right. Mm-hmm.
We do the same thing from management. We want to show our employees. We want to smile and greet and hear their story, own their experiences, and occasionally wow them with whatever we do. And so it's not that hard hearing the story. They may need, we need new brooms, or we need new whatever it is. So if we're treating our team members like we want to treat our guests, it's that it's that perfect circle, that exact thing we want to do.
Right. That's beautiful. So Then one more question for you. All right. I think I'm going to do this for the next 2 hours.
I love it.
I'm thinking here, I've got a lot of folks that are on a career path in the hospitality that listen to my various podcasts. So you started at the ground level. You're president and COO of one of the largest hotels in the world, right? What advice do you give folks that are coming up in order to be able to achieve whatever they want to achieve in their careers?
I think over those 23 years, I think it's 14 different roles in that. And one thing is I started off as a pit clerk in the pits. I only wanted to be the best. I wanted to learn the job, be proficient, and then hopefully excellent at
right.
it. And I didn't worry about the next job. And in this industry, we were fortunate. The next job just comes along. And I just and then I got into the next role, and I wanted to be the proficient and get good at it, and then hopefully excellent at it. And then the next job came along. I never focused on, and maybe this could be wrong advice, but it's my advice. I never focused long term on, I have to be the property president, or I have to be the VP of this or director of that. I focused on being excellent at my role I was in. And I always felt once I was excellent, somehow a door opened somewhere. And what I see a lot of people coming into the industry now, they want to win so fast, so quick.
Right.
And I still feel like I'm the young guy around here. I feel like I just started. And even though it's 23 years, which sounds like a long career, and it is, I guess, I just am still excited because I still want to be the best property president I can be here at Park MGM.
Well, I think we're probably around the same age, so I'm going to say you're a young guy.
Okay, I agree. Okay.
For sure. Well, this has been great. At the end of all my interviews, I love to give everyone a shameless plug. So tell everybody about how awesome Park MGM and NoMad is, and why they should be here, and how they should find it.
It is. It's a must for Vegas. So we sit in this cradle center of Las Vegas, right next to T-Mobile. So whether it's a Vegas Nats game or a concert, or Park Theater, where you've got Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars. There's only one place to go, and it's Park MGM, because we're right here in the center. So we'd love to see you. Please come down and visit us.
Yeah, well, I will definitely be here for some Korean barbecue and Bruno Mars. It's the calendars and the stars align that I could actually be in Vegas for some concerts that I want to see. Thank you, Patrick. This has been absolutely great. Man, I am one happy Las Vegas geek right now. What a great time that was. Be sure to send us your emails. I'm all over social media at Traveling Glenn, and check out novacancynews.com. And if you're not subscribing to this podcast, shame on you. Go to iTunes right now, wherever finer podcasts are found, and subscribe. And I will be back next week. That is unless I decide to move into the NoMad here in Las Vegas. See y'all soon.
Thanks so much for listening to No Vacancy, the hospitality industry's #1 podcast, with your host, Glenn Hausman, online at rouse.media, on Twitter at Traveling Glenn, and on Facebook.com/Glenn.Hausman. We'll catch you next time.